So we'll start off with the normal things. Being that this is a Gauntlet game, all the Gauntlet inclusion policy. Plus, if at any point there is something to be X carded, either just a physical X, or you can type X into the chat, either in Roll20 or in Zoom. I'm Michael Matthews. I'll be GMing. If we want to just head around the circle.
Yeah, I'm Elias.
I go by Dynamoon Online. I use she, her.
And I'm Adam. He, him.
Yep. And I also use he, him. Let me throw that back on my... That did not save when I put it on my screen name the other day. Okay, do we want to do a quick recap of what happened last week with the Minotaurs?
If I can turn to my notes page in time.
I believe we got caught up in the murder of a noble. I forgot what the name for it was.
Phelan Imperii.
That guy.
Yeah. And yeah, I believe it was Diana's employer, among other people, who had murdered that individual. Although he was a bastard, so he probably deserved it. And my Nameless Minotaur and Alias's Nameless Minotaur did what we could to try and deflect blame, essentially. Ended up getting several important Imperii folks kicked out of the little district of the city that we're living in. I think that's about it.
We ended up with a, is it called a portent, or what's the thing where there's no resolution on the crater, and so a bad thing will happen in the future?
Yeah, the foretelling, and that's you kind of go through, and it's like it doesn't involve any of you, but it's like, okay, here's how things are going to go badly, and that was essentially the minions of the Imperii who had brought the judge in and the medium in to try to essentially kind of keep some power because Raleigh and others had killed the incredibly oppressive Imperii. They fled because, as I'm recalling correctly, did the judge lie?
I adulterated the potion. I tried to convince the judge that we should. I tried to convince the judge to sour the potion herself, and she refused. So I did it while her back was turned.
Okay.
And she went along with it.
And I did an impressive speech.
Yeah, you got people riled up right before that.
Yeah.
And I know also Adam's Minotaur had done something with the reading, I think, to the people.
A little bit. I think I basically just told my employer to go along with whatever results the judge had.
Yeah, people ended up being lathered up enough by the end that the medium kind of was able to stay out of things, I think.
Okay. Okay. So at this point, you're still in your current employments. And one thing I do want to double check, because everyone was interested in silence, plus silence lets you do all the jungle stuff, come back, and also then sort of some new ones. But we have some things that have sort of grown here. But in the meantime, can I go with each of you? Each of you will come up with, just let me know someone that you have that you, have a relationship with. It could be a friend, a rival, something romantic. It could be anything along those lines. But here in the area where you've been working, you've been here enough to kind of start to get to know people. So I do want to kind of bring in people who are not necessarily your employer or the people who are directly affected, since there's going to be a little bit of time for things to settle in this area before everyone sort of moves on. We have an idea for someone that you have gotten to know, a friend, romance, become a rival with. Could be a human, Minotaur.
Yeah, I think I have made friends with probably a human, playwright, essentially, like a dramatist. An individual who tends to write things that appear to be comedies, but are in fact deep political satire. That she just barely gets away with them most of the time.
Mine's one of the really weird things about old school, I think it's kabuki theater, which did a lot of political satire at the time. Like, you couldn't like directly name somebody, but apparently, like instead of doing a thing on like the problems with Donald Trump, you could do something about the problems with Tronald Dump, and you were fine. Like that was a line that stopped you from being arrested. It was like, well, you didn't use his actual name, but they're saying it was so close, like it was like practically like one letter switched equivalency, that there was absolutely no uh, confusion on who they were talking about. And what has this relationship been like?
That's a very good question. I think I've become quite fascinated by their plays essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I sort of get it essentially. And I've been talking probably up to this point. It's been a lot of like talking shop essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Just having somebody to talk to who doesn't seem to be very into the whole Imperial thing.
Okay. Excellent. And with either Elias or Diana,
I think it's been with another Minotaur.
Mhm.
Like one of those like not necessarily rivalry kind of friendships, but like we always like gently dig at each other kind of thing. They're one of the messenger couriers types.
Mhm.
Um and so they're always running around in the market stalls, since that's where I usually am. And I think after this whole Imperii thing, like my relationship with my mistress got a little strained because I realized things, and so I've been kind of spending a little bit more time with this Minotaur.
Okay.
Interesting.
And Elias, any ideas? You want to come back to you a little bit?
No, I'm gonna go with a Minotaur.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this Minotaur was yeah, we'll go with that. The captain of the guard for Imperii Phelan. And after the upheaval, they've kind of ended up like they're doing like they're fishing. They're the creepy dolphins that speak to you in your dreams if you
Mhm.
kill them. Whatever. Something like that. They're taking like they're deliberately taking extremely like drudge jobs and are kind of in a dark place, both because they've kind of lost their previous employment and they know how bad their previous employment was.
Okay.
And
Oh, I see. What this makes me think, and this might be a this kind of makes sense when you look at the just the general themes of the game. But you almost have someone who's kind of looking for the excuse to go to the jungle, like who's kind of putting themselves in places where emotionally they're getting more and more upset. They're getting they're becoming more and more in turmoil, so that at some point they're going to kind of frenzy and then end up. Like you could just literally go yourself, but I think it does make some sense that some people kind of destructive a little bit till they get there, and then that gives them a chance to sort of get themselves back together.
Yeah, but so I see this person on a dark path,
Mhm.
but I'm perhaps convinced that if they go to the jungle, they will not come back.
Okay.
And so they're kind of like they're my project right now. I'm trying to save this person.
Okay. Oh, and also, do you want this to be a certain type of Minotaur?
Soldier.
And for you, Diana?
I think it's another philosopher. I think my character generally tends to stay with other philosopher types.
Okay. And said, oh. Yeah, for some of them, there's certain types of Minotaurs you gain stuff back with when you sort of refresh. All right, let's swing back a little bit for some things with these. Wasama is the name of the playwright. She has. Does she do? Is this these sort of like one woman shows? Does she have a small troupe of actors? Is it a large thing, or is it a?
Probably like a small troupe, probably a small, fairly tight knit troupe that like travels around, maybe. Not necessarily because she wants to travel around, but because eventually the Imperii start getting it.
Yeah. So they're basically like they're agitators. They go around like the activists. So you were watching one of the productions, and it actually was the trial of Phelan was on there, and unfortunately, the one playing Diana is not the best of actors. As they're kind of going through and giving a bit of a. The wording isn't bad. Like the writing isn't is decent, but the delivery is not great. But it's one of those things where it's the only actual Minotaur in their troupe. The other two are people wearing horns on their heads to kind of be for you. Now, it's one of those things where the story is spread. It's been about a month. Things are still not quite settled down in this area. That she looks over at one point, or rather when it kind of ends, you're still sitting there, and she's going up, and she's talking. No, here's the thing. When you say this right now, you're asking, like, you want to know why nobody's laughing at you? You know why you're not getting the laugh? Is because you're asking for it here. Just say, mean the thing you're gonna say, and it will be funnier. I swear to you. It is fine. This, and she's kind of going around and talking to some of the people. Do you interrupt her, or do you kind of wait for her to notice you?
I'll wait.
Okay.
Basically.
And she stops, and she just kind of looks, and she goes, "You're the one that laughed."
Yeah, I just sort of like shrug. I say, that would not be the way of my people.
What, laughing?
Emotions are dangerous.
Emotions are dangerous, but laughing is... You can't help but laugh. Laugh is... You can hold in other stuff. You hold in a laugh, it just makes it worse. Laughter is not emotion, my friend.
Yeah, I just sort of shrug and I say, I like this interpretation.
Were you here for the actual events?
Why am I here, Michael? Am I just around, or?
Yeah, I mean, this is about you sort of maybe have a day off. Because, again, you're allowed to kind of go out and do other... You have your other things you do and days off.
Sure, yeah. All right. I don't have a specific, agenda.
No, unless you want to have one, you can.
No, I think that's probably fine. I'll just sort of, stand up and I'll sort of slowly walk over and I say, most of the art that I have experienced plays into the game that the Imperii play. Yours does not. I have appreciation for such things.
Wish I could have seen it. And my God, to have 3 Minotaurs standing up to the death of the Imperii and all that. This is one of the few places I've seen where they actually fought back against one of them. I mean, concentrating right now. I mean, currently the people fighting for power in this area and like what we're doing, we can actually kind of hang out for a bit until someone wins, and then they realize that maybe we're not the ones that they want around.
No. But perhaps chaos is useful here. Opportunities for change.
It is. Kind of, so she just kind of cocks her head and, you want a drink?
And I sort of give her that sort of look, right? Because that would violate my silence. And I just say, if you are offering, it is not my place to refuse.
Well, I am offering, and there is a bar right over there. I'd like to find out what's going on here. You seem like you know the town. Or the town, this place.
I sort of nod.
Okay. Yeah, as you two sort of head in the bar, and she orders some alcohol, sits down, and puts it in front of you, and she drinks for serious. Like it's like you could outdrink her because you're gigantic, but she'd put you towards there'd be some effort involved at some point. Um, Diana, your friend the Minotaur, the philosopher, comes in just lathered with sweat, and just kind of collapses into a chair, and just kind of glares at you because you have to owe me something for all of this.
I raise an eyebrow.
He just kind of leans forward. It's like your employer and the others have hired me to run back and I've been running. I just went up. We use roughly miles, but it was 17 miles to a number of the other power brokers in the area to bring information, to wait for it, to run back, to come back. My legs are exhausted.
I smirk and go, well, you needed a little bit of the exercise.
Kind of just takes a moment and puts his hand on the belly, just kind of looks at you, just, I needed what?
Just gotta keep you on your hooves.
Well, luckily, tomorrow I'm not running for anyone. A few of us were thinking of going and playing some, and then he makes no. It's essentially it's akin to soccer / rugby. It can be a fairly physical game, but one that's not uncommon among Minotaur or particularly large humans who will get involved. If you want to join us.
Yeah, I could use a bit of exercise myself. It's been tough having to lay low, despite how everything went in our favor, surprisingly.
How have things been going between you and the upstart?
Is that what you're calling her now?
Well, she's reaching to try to gain the power the Imperia I had. Maybe she'll be good for it, but all I know is right now she's talking to a number of dangerous people.
I nod and it's like, and kind of make like a face of frustration. Things have been not too well. Despite me asking her after this last incident to not keep things from me, it's obvious she is. And I feel I don't have the patience I used to for it.
Is this something that you are owed, or is this something that
I thought we had an understanding between me and her. Something that I guess was probably a little bit more one-sided than I expected.
she's your boss?
You were there at my speech. How hard it was, how nearly close I was to. And I just trail off.
She owes you a great deal. If she were smart, she would work with you and make you an equal. However,
She is very smart. The problem is she. I'm not actually sure what the problem is. You know how humans, and especially human women, can be.
do you think she's someone who would do well if she were in charge here?
I think so. If she has the right people around her, I think she could do really well. But I fear the power will corrupt, as it corrupts almost everyone.
It does. Be with her. See if you can pull her off of wherever she might be going. All I know is that she's got me talking to people who use murder and intimidation pretty much out of hand.
Mm. You've been safe with all the running around? Nothing?
All I'm paid is to bring them parchments, to wait for information to come back. There's no reason to harm me.
That's good. I'd rather you not be in harm.
The courier's not that bad. It doesn't put me in a place to have an Imperialized old retinue pissed off at me.
I didn't think being her bodyguard and her servant would have put me in such a place, being a merchant and all.
Well, it's supposed to be an easy job.
I guess there's nothing easy for us Minotaurs.
It's not easy for anyone. The Grego Glade is not for, good lord, anything. Anything that walks or crawls.
I nod, and then I think I offer him a drink. Like after all this teasing and everything, it's like you deserve a drink.
Which he takes gratefully. And Elias. When do you search out? He actually has earned a name in the past.
Sure.
Karis. When do you where are the places you tend to find him or search him out?
If it's during work hours, either very early for work hours or very late because has been working very long hours, then by the river, in the mud, sometimes hauling trash, and then at night at the bar.
Okay. Yeah, we'll say you catch him. You catch him at night in one of the bars. He has got. It's clear he's been in his cups for a while.
Mm-hmm.
He's in there just sort of hand down, and he's gotten like the job he's taken, which occasionally has him. Occasionally, some of the dolphins, there's things that they'll take from them, like certain fluids and other such, that occasionally one will die and will haunt his dreams in his death. And it's one of the things where this is... You've known others who have taken the jobs, but they have tended to leave rather quickly. There's also a decent amount of rampages that happen there. It's one of the things where they try to also keep them fairly well separated. The strength of the Minotaurs are important, but they can't have too many because if one flees, then it's very easy for a bunch of others to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But he's pretty drunk at this point.
Yeah. So I think I approach him from behind, just from the nature of where he's seated. So I'll kind of strong arm him and say, Karis, I fear that you've deliberately picked a different bar from the one I'd usually find you in, just to avoid me.
So it's up and kind of looks at you and goes, "You'd have found me no matter where I went. Not your project."
Well, what what have you done today to find more gainful employment?
I worked. Held down 6 dolphins today as we milked them for some of their fluids. One of them, weak, old, died in my arms. I'll hear it tonight.
No Minotaur should take that job.
Nobody should take that job. Nobody should take most. I used to be... You're lucky. You're still relatively pure. You haven't been corrupted by society yet. You don't feel the call as much as I do.
Always talking about the call this, the call that. I have it too. We all have it. but I can tell that it's different for you right now.
Different for you. So tell me, when you see a group of Minotaurs on the run, in a frenzy, rushing towards the jungle, being enveloped by it. And just as he's doing this, his breathing starts to just get heavier, running by it. What happens inside of you when they run by you?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the last thing you
Oh,
said?
what happens inside of you when they run by you? Now, at the one point, like you are never in danger of frenzying.
Yeah.
When you see them go by, you are in danger if you lose all your silence. But because
Yes.
you have no name tokens, because what happens is you throw all your silence and all your name tokens into the crater, pull out one. If it's a silence, you're fine. If it's a name token, you frenzy. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So from a cinematic perspective, I've joined him at the table, and I also have a drink. And as he speaks, I think my pupils are kind of dilating, and my hand is trembling a bit with the mug, but I try to hide it as best as I can. And I say, I think that I hope they come back, because we need every Minotaur that we can get.
That'll change. There'll come a time when you see them running, you feel your own heart start to go. You feel your adrenaline kicking in. You feel your mind go fuzzy. And sometimes you hold on. Sometimes you get caught up.
Can I punch him?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I before he finishes his sentence, I punch him.
He's drunk enough. He just goes.
Not dealing with this bullshit.
Yeah, head over. He falls off the bench, and he's trying to pick himself up, but he's shaky. Just, the hell was that for? Everyone in the bar has stopped talking.
Yeah. So I'm standing over him, and I start to pick him up, by his scruff, and say, "Get over yourself."
He's aims like a clumsy shot to glance off your rib cage, and tries to kind of pull himself away. He goes, "You want to find out what it feels like to have to go?"
I remember the Karis who trained me how to use a weapon. I remember the Karis who held me back the first time it happened. That's the Karis who I remember. You were a different beast.
Okay. At that point, he goes, "Hope you learn," and then he's like rushes towards you. So at this point, so he's kind of got his blood up. He's been looking. I mean, you've given him an excuse for something he's probably been looking for. Mm-hmm. So for here, there are. What would you like to put in? And for some of the stuff you can get, like, remember, you put silence in. Depending on what comes out, you get the truth and the possible truths.
Sure. Yeah, so I'll put in two. I can't put a name. Don't got none of that. Sorry, where's the zoom? I need a little more resolution here. Okay. Let me see.
I did replace the tokens with the tokens from the actual.
Yeah, they're smaller, so that makes it a bit hard to read, but it is cognitively easier, I think. Yeah, let's go with a silence and is it heart? What are they called? Courage. Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to go ahead and slide those away from yours. Yeah, so this, like, he bellows and then charges. So we have a harm, or a skull.
Mm-hmm.
A skull. A skull.
Ooh.
Let's hope for a silence. And a silent. Shit. Um, are those go with the no tokens?
Yeah, no, the no's are for the truths, but that's okay.
Okay.
So we don't have a life. I considered putting a life in, but I didn't. So I think that we go all the way down to the 2 skulls that eat up an additional 2 skulls.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, your caution, fear, inability, or self-doubt brings an unfavorable outcome. I think that's me.
Okay. Yeah, so you get the silence back, but the courage tokens will come back.
Yeah, I do not get those back, right?
Correct.
So I just get the silence. Cool.
Yeah, I have a feeling that if you're going for certain things, a lot of times putting only a single thing in there sometimes helps. Or rather, like more than one, but like a single type often seems to help. Yeah, as he just kind of rushes and catches you. Luckily, it's like between the horns. So there's kind of like almost scratching a little bit on the side of the rib cages as he like hits you and goes over one of the tables.
He does, or I do?
Oh, he does that to you. What do you do?
Yeah. I have been dealing with his bullshit for weeks now. And I've been patient with him. I've done everything that I can. And I think that my frustrations just boiled over. So I fight back.
Okay.
So I think I've known this Minotaur for a while since I referenced that, flash back to when he was training me, and was a much better fighter than me, and that is still definitely the case. And so even in his drunken rage, when I go for him, I get some blows in, but ultimately I find myself down on the ground.
Okay. And also, you did mention that you felt your frustrations boiling over. Do you think this would count as expressing emotion in how you're getting into it?
Yes, I am fighting him to express my emotion.
All right. Okay, go ahead and remove one of your silence.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of ends up on the ground, but then there's a point where you just see him in the eyes. And he just says this loud bellow, and immediately everybody who is anywhere near starts to head for the doors or through other stuff as he starts to frenzy.
Michael froze for me.
Oh, am I back? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you were doing a very good angry Minotaur. Sorry.
Yeah, I got a thing that's like it's unstable. I'm like crap. Like usually it's okay here during the day. Yeah. As he starts to just and like everybody starts to flee just to get as far away as possible because that's not going to go well. You see a couple of the other Minotaurs who are there just also. A few of them are like you, where like you feel like the stuff bubbling up inside, but it's not going to be enough to make you go. But they are very soon like rushing for the door, going through parts of it, and leaving quite a bit of damage in their wake as you hear them like screaming down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Leaving you like on the ground, a little bit bruised up, looking around, and you see the couple people, like including the bartender who's behind the bar with like giant eyes.
So Karis has left the bar?
Yeah, he and others are frenzied, and like you have no idea how many others it might take, depending on how many they go by on the way out.
I throw some coin on the bar, which is nothing comparable to the damage that was done during the fight. And then I think I need to decide at this point if I am just following them into the jungle or not. because I don't have to, but I can, right?
Yeah, you can also, if you want to try to make sure they're not getting killed along the way.
Oh, you mean as they go to the jungle?
Yeah, like you can go out there, but one thing you could do is try to keep, because there are people who use that as an excuse to kill, because people do get killed when Minotaurs frenzy.
Yeah. So I think the initial movements as I kind of pull myself up off the floor are slow as I'm kind of massaging wounds and throw some coin on the table, head to the door, and then right after I'm out the door, I start like a lope, like just a build up to a sprint as I chase after the Minotaurs over in.
Okay. So yeah, you start to chase after them. We'll come back to your stuff in just a moment. Adam.
Yes.
So you're in the bar. She's been asking you about just about the town and such in general. Like what I keep saying town. It's all one giant city, but about this sort of like neighborhood, this area in particular. She's like, any idea who might be stepping up?
I just sort of I'm just sort of sitting there, just like swirling my cup, and I say I have some idea. And then I don't know how I would refer to Diane as Minotaur. I would create some sort of like elaborate description to reference her, to reference him.
I mean, you can almost refer to her as the speech keeper or the speech giver or something along those lines.
The speech giver, I think, but grander things as well. Can you feel it? The energy in this place. These people are restless. They are tired of this tyranny. They're looking for something new. The speech maker's attempts would not have been successful if the people had not already been ready for it. It is often true that oratory is very good at telling people what they already know.
You have an eye for this. So you were there. You saw it.
I was.
I have to ask you some questions, and at which point, you kind of see the guys that are coming up to her before she does, and they look angry. You recognize them as they used to be part of the Imperialized Guard. They're kind of coming up. They're surrounding the side, and he goes, "You're the one making fun of Fallon out there."
Yeah. And I just sort of like stand up, essentially, to sort of get in between her and whoever's the main individual speaking. And I say, what does it matter, the words said about a dead man?
We used to work for that dead man. We used to have a job. But then you and those other ones got involved. We saw you there. Coming in with that quack medium.
I'm sure skilled and honorable individuals such as yourselves will find new and better jobs under the new regime soon enough.
Yeah, good regime. If it weren't for you, we'd still have good paying jobs. We still have respect. You think people want us now after we've been associated with him? And she goes out there and has people making fun of us.
Would they have wanted you regardless?
Well, see, this is one that you're looking at them going, they've gotten in fights before. You don't necessarily know if it's going to end up, if they would be going towards fighting. So it's not like, it's a possibility. But as they are kind of in your face, the fact that you're also there is backing them up a bit. Like, it's much easier to go after her. If you want to see how well.
Yeah. Okay, let's put in 2 courage. And because, screw it, let's put in the only silence that I have.
Okay. Dope. And 1 silence. Okay, so we'll see how this goes. A no. silence, courage, and courage.
All right.
So in that case, go back up here. So we have a no and one silence. Okay, so the no, you did have life. If so, the silence will not count as life in this case.
No.
Yeah, if another no had come up, you would have had the possible truth.
I see. Maybe you make a dramatic mistake, an error?
Yeah, that might come down to that one. I'm trying to think if there's anything with just 2 courage by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like the only thing there. Yeah, the dramatic mistake, the error. I'm not seeing anything with courage on its own.
I think we need to start putting life tokens in more frequently.
Yeah, it's only lets you know the yeah, like Crater, you might achieve dramatic success, or you might lose the token. If the death outcome occurs, you started the scene without a life token, you could die. Yeah, courage ensures victory. Mind is success without violence. Silence reveals truth. Help you change someone's mind or stand in for a life token if you do not have one.
So since we can't account for the courage and the silence, then does that maybe do another foreshadowing thing?
Not for it. We still have one though. We've got that dramatic mistake.
Okay, so that's the only thing that happens then.
Okay.
All right.
So what is the? Yeah, I would say. What do you say when they're so kind of puffing themselves up? They're trying to like size you up to see how much of a trouble you'll be in.
Sure. Yeah. So I think I just sort of say, why should I care what happens to the likes of you? You who are the instruments of the leeches that steal from the Doringa blood, that prevent the sentinels from regrowing. Why should I care at all what you would have me do? And the intent is to express emotion.
Yep, I was about to ask on that. That would
Emotion specifically over a social issue, which is basically the existence of the Imperii at all.
Yeah, which will give up your last silence.
Yeah, that will also refresh my mind, I think. Because
Yeah.
my refreshing mind condition is reacting emotionally to a cultural problem.
Yeah, so it's what is it for the mind again?
It's I refresh mind when we see me reacting emotionally to a cultural problem.
Yep, that will refresh your mind, but as it's going, there's that part of you that sort of starts to. I guess you can tell us what happens with your frenzy here.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Let me just go ahead and put those minds in white. Yeah, I think what we do is we see me just sort of like starting to walk towards them, essentially, right? And my voice sort of starts getting louder and louder and louder until eventually I've like pushed this guy all the way up to the wall, essentially. And then at sort of like a particular moment, I just like punch the wall hard, right? And it's just like this resounding thud, and the wall just like dents in a bit. And I sort of like hold my fist there as I'm just like staring over the sky. Then we see sort of my eyes go wide. And then I just sort of say, "You will be dealt with later." And then I will just start making like a quick walk, essentially, out of the bar.
Okay. Like right before you kind of feel yourself being taken by the frenzy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you come out, just like you hear her go, wait, and then you just as you start to feel it come upon you, there were another group of Minotaurs that were out playing, kind of getting ready to play. There's sort of like a rugby soccer like game that was out there, roughly the same time as you lose yours and start to frenzy. Diana. So Raleigh has. Are you you're still working with her, or you've been kind of like laying low?
I've been working with her. I don't volunteer as much as I used to, but like if she comes and asks for things
Okay.
or pay, I'll do it. Like I think I'm still living in her domicile still. Anyways,
Yeah. She kind of catches you outside of it, and she's. I would like your counsel.
you will.
Someone is going to have to take over for the Imperii, for everything that he was doing here, and do a better job. You. A lot of people were very impressed with your speech. You carry a lot of weight. Would you be my counselor if I were to throw my hat in the ring?
I think that question really like takes me aback. And I stare at her, a little confused actually. I am I am no leader though, even for your council. Wouldn't you rather have someone who's more experienced?
I'm just I need someone experienced. I need someone who's good with people. I need someone who's got the trust of others. I'm not looking for a leader. There's some moves I'm going to have to make relatively soon against rivals.
As your if I accept, does that mean you'll stop keeping things from me?
She goes a little stiff at that point. What sort of things do you believe I've been keeping from you?
Everything you've been sending my good friend to and fro. I mean, it was only after, and I say this in a low voice, the murder. Even if we were in private, I still say it lowly. um, I only found out until after that, and I had to clean that up. I cannot counsel you if I don't know the full extent of what I need to counsel you for.
Her eyes go a little dark on this. But she's like, should I tell you every single thing I do? Every correspondence I make? Should we sit and go over everyone I need to talk to in order to gain power in this area? Is that what you need?
Is she saying it like angrily, snarkily, defensively,
She's a
or?
little. I mean, she's a little like she's got her back up. Like she used to be much more laid back, but she's getting a bit more
Yeah.
paranoid.
What do I want to put in there? How do I want to respond? I guess I'll put mind. Oh, I can't move the tokens.
Oh, these. Yeah, let me. Should be by all players. Yeah, your mind token should be able to control by everybody.
Oh, wait, I might be on the wrong thing. That's why.
Okay.
Good old roll 20.
So how many minds are you putting in?
I'm putting both minds.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
A no. A no. A mind. And a mind. You can build your minds back.
I'm seeing the two minds and the two no's are both separate outcomes, right?
That's what I think I'm seeing also.
Oh. Yeah, it looks like it, unless we've got the And then anything else? There's nothing else a nose will go with. So yeah, it looks like you'll get cleverness in your outcome in your favor. You get a mind token, but then the outcome will be humiliating. Decrease your number by 1. So the name number will go down, but you will get another mind token.
Awesome. So I think. Can I indicate what that humiliating thing could be?
Mhm.
I think she calls me out on my affections for her.
Okay.
And I think I'm being clever and I just like you had mentioned earlier, like you used to be so carefree. You were the charismatic merchant who had the ear of everybody, and now you're doing all these things behind people's back for what you think, and you might be right. What's for the good of the people? But why are they also clandestine? Why are they keeping it from me when I've helped you this entire time?
Because I want to make sure that my power is not shared. Because I see how you look at me. I know what you want. And I know you're too afraid to come after it. So are we going to be able to work together?
I stare at her and I go, I'm going to need some time to think about this. Something like this shouldn't I shouldn't respond with emotion.
Just like it's a shame you don't get to feel emotion nearly as much because and she's actually kind of coming towards you as you hear like just this stampede of feet coming through as you have this huge like this large frenzy of Minotaurs rushing through the area. Now you got 3 name tokens and 1 silence.
Yeah.
So for you to see if you frenzy, because it's just they come through. If this is silence, you do not frenzy. If it's a name, you do.
Okay.
So yeah, just as she's kind of coming forward, her eyes a bit softer. Maybe someone that you might return at least some of that affection. You then get caught up in the frenzy.
Damn it.
And fucking like, yeah, I'm thinking maybe we can go on a date on. Guys, it's so embarrassing. It's not how I wanted that to go at all.
It just helps with the humiliation.
Your timing sucks. And then all those tokens come back to you. You don't lose any of those tokens when you pull for a frenzy. Yeah, and then all of you are rushing deep into the jungle, running. There are like when you come to, like, you've got some scratches and such on you that are definitely from the different vegetation and spines and other stuff, or thorns that you might find, things like that. Some of them may have come from getting like hit with other Minotaurs, or possibly some people that came in and try to get a few whacks in as you rushed out into the, I said, deep out into the jungle. But you come to in a clearing, and it's y'all, it's Karis, and a few others. And when you go into the jungle, as I recall, the foremost is generally an NPC. GMC philosopher if a Minotaur would frantic. Otherwise, a PC who is not a philosopher with the most silence tokens. Yeah, who's not a philosopher, which I think this would actually make. We'll say there's no other. Well, actually, you did go frantic, so it would be a philosopher. There's another one who'll be the foremost. Basically, will sort of decide when you return back to civilization. I can kind of assign names and such as well. So this is probably a good time to take like a quick 5 or so minute bio break.
One just quickly. If you would like, I know I said soldier up front, but it's not really relevant. So we could retcon and make Karis be the philosopher, but otherwise,
Okay.
It could be a different NPC. So,
Yeah, we do that. Yeah, we'll give someone with a name to do that. That works.
but,
Sweet.
Okay. Be back.
Just another example of a lot of feminists that have an a la carte attitude towards it, meaning you can do this, I want, this sort of thing, but they take it too far. It's kind of like this thing bordered on The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Like, where's it going to go next? So you're telling me then, if I compliment you on the street, it's some sort of abuse, no matter how I choose to do it? That means if you don't compliment me, no, hold on. If you don't compliment me when I walk by, that's abuse. You didn't bolster my self-esteem. I want to fine you. I want to start a coalition against women who don't compliment men.
So I think I'm hearing from you, Steve. Women should be okay with this because it is a compliment. These guys are saying, you know what, I like the way you look. You've done everything right as you've stepped out the house, and just leave it at that. And Amanda, you're saying, or tell me what you're saying. Are you saying, this is just harassment? It's annoying.
You are wrong. What I'm saying is that he's wrong, and that the reality is that a lot of women, when we leave the house, we are not looking for compliments. We are not strolling the streets waiting like, is anyone going to notice these pants today? Like, that's not actually how we are approaching our day.
Well,
we are actually just going where we're going. And the other thing is that I think a lot of people who don't live in New York also don't understand this. When you live in New York City, you don't often get the luxury of being in a car. And being in a car gets to isolate you from like being in the world and basically just at the behest of whoever's talking to you.
All the time.
What's
you
your
are
point?
always in.
Right, I get it. I live there. No one's holding a gun to your head telling you you have to live in New York City. first of all.
You know what's funny is that you as a man, what your problem is that you really should just be embracing and welcoming to the fact that women are saying, hey, we don't like this, not arguing why we shouldn't. If we say we don't like it and we are demonstrating that, then you should actually, as a man who is a man of honor and wrote a book about this, should be saying, well, let's discuss how we can make you all feel more comfortable, and how I, as a man who says that I have class, need to help and talk to my brothers about this.
The video speaks for itself. The type of guys that made those comments speak for itself. That's part of maybe their culture, part of how they were brought up. Maybe they thought this girl
But you know what's interesting
was in
too? I
on
guess the type of guy thing. There's been some criticism that this has been crafted. This video was crafted in a way that omits a pretty good bit of the populace of New York City, that most of the men in this video are black or Latino, and that it sends another message, where are all the white guys, and apparently, but Hollaback has actually responded to that. They did have a statement saying, that we regret the unintended racial bias in the editing of the video that overrepresents men of color. Although we appreciate the support, we are committed to showing the complete picture. But does it show the complete picture, or did this unnecessarily invite conversations?
Usually in New York City, listen, I was there in the 80s. I remember how it was. It was a lot tougher than it is right now. But you have to understand something. Political correctness has gone too far. If you don't like it as a woman, turn around and tell them to shut up. Stand up for yourself. Act like a strong woman.
Because that doesn't get you killed, right? Because a woman got killed for doing that the other day in Detroit, actually. So you, sir, do not know what you're talking about.
Then carry a gun.
And you really need to be respectful to the fact that a woman got killed for that the other day.
Well, how many women
happened.
get killed for it versus how many women stand up for themselves?
I stand up for myself all the time. But the reality is that the conversation should really be about saying, hey,
All right. Looks like we are back. Yeah, when you sort of come through, it's the first time you've seen Kara smile in a while. It's kind of like falls back onto, there's a small stream going through, falls back into this clearing and just takes a moment, like closes his eyes, and then relaxes.
Oh, you fool beast. You're a fool beast.
I wasn't looking to return out here this soon. But I always feel good when you come out here for a little bit. Oh, is anybody out of courage or mind tokens?
I have a single courage token. So, no.
Okay, and I think, Adam, you have a name number of 1.
Yes.
Okay, which means, but you have no name token right now, which means you get a name token.
I lost my name number. Damn humiliation.
You can get those back. Let me choose.
How do the rest of us feel? Like, is it something like something like after like a really good like emotional break, you just feel better automatically, or? I
could do either. I think the way I'm taking it for Karis is he had kind of been made so miserable by the stuff in society that he almost needed to get back, because it had been a boil for a long time. So there's that bit of freedom for him came out well. You can choose to respond to it the way you think you might.
Mm-hmm. Whereas I didn't actually frenzy, so I'm kind of still in.
Well, when you lose your last token, silence token, which I think you did.
No. I still have 2 silence.
Oh, that's right. I forgot to do. Yeah. You're out here voluntarily. Yeah. So for you, it's a little bit different.
Yes, I'm a little more stressed about it.
Yeah. I kind of like that, actually. That was actually was give you an opportunity to probably lose those before you go, but cool.
I mean, if you would prefer I'm not here, then we can.
Oh no, because you said you were kind of headed after with them anyway. It sounded like that's what you wanted to do.
Yes, we had talked about basically trying to protect the Minotaurs who were frenzying from the humans who take pot shots or whatever.
Yep. Yeah.
But yes, we can skip ahead to being in the forest.
Yeah. So yeah, then as you're all there, like the big group that kind of came along with those frenzy. A lot of them ended up going different directions, and currently it's just the four of you and then one other nameless Minotaur, also who's there, and he's just that's how I was not hoping my day would go.
You and me both.
As well, should see about getting back home at some point. And Karis just sort of looks and's like, good direction as any. Well, the problem is that a lot of the jungle canopy can be so thick, it can be hard to tell what direction the sun is often. So getting your bearings can be a little hard. There's one point where you're heading through, and there is it reaches to a point where you start to notice the sounds of the jungle. I mean, all the it's one of those things where in a lot of places in the jungle glade, like particularly if you're on the outskirts, the sounds of the jungle are always nearby. You hear it. But here, as you're going through, it starts to thin out a little bit. You're hearing a little less of the insects, of birds, not quite as many animals in this place. It's getting a little bit quieter. You notice the vegetation is getting a bit thinner in this area as well. And then you come onto the first ruin. Whatever this place is, it's been completely taken over by the jungle. This is not like an outskirt, because you've seen plenty of those where there's a little bit of a ruin of an old city on the outskirts, but this is fairly deep in. But you can see part of a road that's mostly overgrown. You can see a bit of wall. A lot of it is crumbled. There's what used to be like a rock, like a stone ceiling and such, has collapsed. Almost in this respect, looks almost like just like a giant pile of rocks at this point. There's enough of the foundation you can tell this part used to be a building. There was a bit of road, and as you look on down, you can see it's a little more real. Like it's a little more not real, solid and whole the further in you go.
I do not believe I've ever come across this before.
Yeah. I think we sort of see me sort of like kneel down to like the stones, and I sort of like brush some of the mud out from like the cobble beneath us. And sort of like look up and say, Emma, this place, it's very old. A long time ago, I think.
Seems like more trouble than it's worth.
Karis is
Different
like,
age.
Karis does say, occasionally you find old parts of the city here. Usually they're not this abandoned, but
Makes me wonder if the jungle took it or they'd ran away.
Is there a difference?
Depends on who's telling the story.
once the jungle starts to speak, that's when I'm out.
Yeah, I think I'll basically look for like, the densest section of the ruins, and I'll start trying to head towards there.
Okay. You're starting to head in. It's just as you see more of the buildings and such, the road itself becomes a little bit clearer, and you start to see vegetation's almost growing up in columns, like not neat, like something. It almost, in some respects, almost looks like what might have been like a trimmed hedge that was let gone for a long time. So it no longer kind of has like the neat square shape it might have had at one point, but you can kind of tell that it was possibly at some point like that. And you see sort of like less and less vegetation on the ground as you're sort of heading in, and you're getting more like houses and such that are more complete.
But still look obviously abandoned, right?
Yeah. Eventually, you see like a wisp of smoke rising up from one of them. Maybe enough for a cooking fire.
think I'll probably just almost instinctually just start heading towards it.
Okay. And what do you two do while he does that?
I look around, just to ensure there's no things stalking us in the periphery. But the idea of there being cooking possibly sounds good.
Okay. And
I think I'm very doom and gloom about it, so I'm trying to convince Karis that we need to get out of here. So I'm physically trying to get in his way and tell him that we need to get out of these ruins and head back.
And what way? He kind of looks at you, he's like, maybe, but then nods off after Adam's Minotaur. He goes, you may want to stop your friend.
Yeah, I'll go rushing after them.
Yeah.
After Adam.
I think you sort of catch up to me, probably. I'm not moving very fast.
Mm-hmm.
Do you say anything?
Michael, I can lose silence tokens in the jungle, right? Since I still have them. If it's not important, it's not important. It's just I do not remember this part of the book. So
yeah, it almost makes some sense that you're allowed to be a little more. I mean, you get silence for each inflection you're a part of in the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me, I'd almost have to double check, but it seems to me that while you're in the jungle, it doesn't make as much. It feels like this is the place where you're allowed to be a little more emotional. Like you don't have to keep yourself. Okay. So
I won't be concerned with getting rid of my silence. I'll just be
yeah.
We'll see where that goes. Okay, cool. Yeah, then yeah, I'll I understand that this may seem like a break to you, but we have no reason to believe that campfire is anything but calamity. Please, brother, please come. Let us find a different way.
Yeah, and I just sort of look at you and grab your arm. Not like I'm gonna toss you or anything. Just grab your arm sincerely, very tightly, and you see this intense look in your face. And I say, this place is not part of the Doringo Glade, brother. This place is something different. Perhaps something new. Perhaps there are opportunities here. Perhaps that individual knows things you do not. You should speak with them.
This is foolish, but I will have your back.
Foolish indeed. Dream of a brighter world. We must try, surely. Let us start with food first.
Okay.
And I basically sort of with him and walk towards the campfire.
Totally.
So just to make sure, Karis was part of the Imperii, right?
He was one of the guards.
Yeah. So I think I probably would have recognized him then.
He has a name, so
Yeah, that too. So I think while you guys have gone ahead, I assume Karis is taking his time towards you guys, and I'll what's it called? Fall back in step. There you go. That's the phrasing. With Karis, and I guess ask about if he's heard anything about the things that my mistress has been doing.
Stops and looking to take over. I don't know if I've ever heard of anyone with power who doesn't end up at some point corrupted by it.
That's been my reasoning too, but I'm wondering if maybe we could slow it down with this one.
Possibly. I don't know her that well, but I do know that to gain power, the Ring of Glades requires often blood. To keep it, it's not a place the Ring of Glades is not a place that has space for mercy.
You aren't angry with what they did, are you? I know you lost your position, but...
I lost my position, but it's not good for you to be working in a place like that too long. It takes things from you. I've gotten comfortable. I've gotten stupid.
I agree. I'm wondering if I'm getting too comfortable.
And as you do this, you said you're sort of looking at the outskirts.
Yeah, I've been doing that.
Yeah, and as the two of you are kind of talking, you should start going through. You notice at some point, you see what looks like a hand coming out of one of the like those large, tall, like hedge-like bushes. It's very hand-like. I mean, it's all vegetation and tree-like. But as you're looking at it, like you're like that's a hand.
And it's moving towards us, or
no? It's just like so you got this thing that's this like pillar thing, and it's all sorts of. It's not neat. It's not been trimmed or anything. It looks like maybe one time long ago it was, but there's just a part of it that comes out that is very clearly very hand-like. You can almost see where a couple of little vines and such go through like the veins on the back of the hand. You can kind of make out like the bones in it, like all vegetation and wood, but
yeah, I think that would give me pause, and like half of me is like, let's go investigate that, and the other half is stay away. But I think I do, at the very least, I do like Kara's. I do get Kara's attention and like indicate that way wordlessly, like to make sure I'm not just seeing things.
Yeah, he takes a look. He's like, this can't be good. And you hear like a rustle from the back the way you came. And like one of there's some small bushes. They're fairly normal ones. They're off on the side. Are moving almost as if someone has just kind of plunged into them.
Maybe we should make haste for that building.
He goes, are you taking the one where the thing rustled or where they were going?
Where they were going.
Yeah, so there's he goes, perhaps I don't like this. And there's a chunk chunk, and you see like some things of firewood kind of fall and just thunk, like something clearly that's been cut from inside that bush.
That's really like. So that's so like clearly cut to be perfect for firewood kind of thing, right?
It's like someone has cut something from the stump or something, and then this is inside. This is one of the normal bushes, like the one that was shaking, like someone had just kind of like dove into it as you were turning, and just a chunk, chunk, thing falls out. Looks like firewood.
How far away is the bush?
Say about across the street.
Kind of thing.
And at this point, the street's fairly clear.
And there's no other rustling, right? Other than what was
everything else is like here. You're not hearing any of the animals. It's remarkably still.
All right, I'm gonna do the dumb thing, because I'm curious if it's an offering or like a peace offering, because it's cut wood, like for log fire, and we're going towards something with smoke. So I'm gonna go intentionally reach over to grab one of the logs, okay. like just the edge of it, so I'm not. To create as much distance from like where the bush is.
Okay. As you kind of like reach it, as you catch it, this hand, tiny little hand, like reaches out, grabs you. You look up, and there's a boy, maybe 10 to 12, with like mossy green eyes, sort of staring at you. And in the cabin, So what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, we walk in, I'd imagine.
Okay. You come in. There's an older man who's in there, and he's got like a bunch of tubers and other things that he's putting into a pot, and he's sort of cooking. It smells delicious, but unusual. Not like a. These aren't ones you've kind of smelled before. These aren't particular ones that you necessarily would have. And there, and he said, "There's like, could have used that firewood before. It's getting a little." And sort of turns and sees you. Visitors. It's been some time.
I hope we're not intruding.
No, not at all. Not at all. What brings you this deep into the jungle?
What brings any of our kind here?
Given up on them yet, or are you headed back?
That is to be decided, in my case at least. Although I think, and I sort of turn towards Elias, I think this one is not ready to make the decision.
We followed the nose of a one of our kind that had destruction in his heart, and I see nothing here but more destruction. The way back is the only safe way.
Tell me, do you think there's less destruction out there in the city?
There's more chances.
Only because he kind of turns back and grabs stuff. Only because that's all you know or all you remember. You can be great in the jungle.
Yeah, I shift kind of from foot to foot in a nervous kind of way.
Yeah. I think I sort of speak up and I say, "What was this place before?"
At this point, he starts. He goes, "Food? Hungry?"
Yes, of course.
He kind of takes things his own tube where he puts as he starts putting some stuff down, sort of chewing on one of them and making himself a plate. As far as anyone's aware, this used to be a peaceful settlement, a place outside of the city where they lived at one with the jungle, Minotaurs who didn't have to flee from themselves, humans who kept out of the business, both of Gringo Glade, and then both all kept out of the Everwar. Never lasts. Very difficult to not get pulled in, particularly if there's more than a handful of you in any place. The Everwar or the city would get you at some point.
And yet you are here.
Mm-hmm. Please let me know if you want some. I have some spices. I enjoy the spices. My son does not. So therefore, I have a decent amount.
Yeah, I think I'll take a plate of tubers, put some spices on it. Sort of sit down.
Does he have a human-sized table?
Yeah.
Or okay, yeah. So I'm imagining the two Minotaurs just kind of sitting on the floor so that we're chest height with the table.
Yeah. Sorry, we're big people. End up looking like a 6'7" guy in a mini coupe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a point where we're just sort of eating, and this looks up. He goes, "You could stay. You could be a part of this place. It'd be nice to have company to build it back up. Find like-hearted people."
Will that save the others?
Do you have others with you? We have room. No rent is charged here.
Will it save the Doringoglad?
Too late to save them. It goes over to Elias. How's yours?
Yeah, kind of chewing and maybe I got a cow face, so kind of an exaggerated kind of cud chew.
Mm-hmm.
It is palatable. Thank you.
palatable. Eats my food and insults me.
Perhaps you should try some of the spices.
Yes, I make it bland for my boy. He's not fond of it.
I do not mean to offend. I apologize. I sit here and I think nothing but of all of those who I've left behind, who and what they would do if I do not return.
What might they do?
We're needed back in the city. We can't just go gallivanting around out here.
Oh, you're needed. If you don't arrive back in the city, civilization will fall. Everything will go to ruin. The grandeur of the Gringo Glottis will never come again if you do not show up, a nameless Minotaur. In the jungle.
The chewing becomes more and more exaggerated. I'm basically just like chewing with my mouth open at this point, like crushing the tubers between my teeth.
And both of you start to feel like there's a weird stillness that passes through you. There's almost a heady rush that comes with it, and like even like it's almost like a movie, like a special effect where you're seeing things normally, but everything's moving a bit slower, except for him. He just turns and sort of looks at you, and you can kind of feel a connection to him in that moment too. There's almost like a green glow that encompasses all of you. All right, so back to Diana. Back to what's happening there in a moment. Yes, that little boy has grabbed your arm.
Yeah, I think I managed to keep my yelp of surprise to a minimum.
Yes.
And I slowly let go of the piece of wood.
Kind of looks down and takes the wood. Father said not to be seen, but you don't. He looks at both of you. You don't appear to be part of the war.
No, we're not. We're a little lost. Are you taking this to that home over there? And I point towards the direction where the smoke was.
Yes, for dinner. We could use a little bit more firewood, so he sent me out to get some.
I could carry this for you.
It's good. Kind of hands it to you, and looks over, and Karis grabs some as well. Like when the kids kind of like a big bundle thing here when he came out. So will you be staying?
Depends on our companions, I think.
We have lots of friends here, but it's always nice to have new ones.
You do.
Oh, you would like it. You gotta go towards one of the bushes. The one like you saw that there's a little bit more of almost an arm coming out of this one. Have you met Eridane?
I looked towards where he was looking at. I was like, not officially.
Eridane dreams of what it was like when the city was magnificent. It was incredible.
I give a glance to Karis to see what's going through his head.
Karis is his ears are sort of almost perked up. And it's he just very quietly goes, "You tread with danger." He kind of cocks his head, and the little boy looks at you and goes, at this point you kind of, again, feel there's a weird import to his words. What is it you dream of? I want to do a quick cut back, and then it's going to be something with sort of all three, but in the different locations. Because as you feel that sort of almost greenish glows as he looks up. So tell me, what are your fears? What is the fear that drives you back to civilization? To a place that doesn't love you, that doesn't need you? And here's so we'll do this one. There's actually two separate. All right, we could do three separate drops if we want, or we could do two, one in each location with one taking over. But you are dealing with one of the voices, some of the weirdness of the jungle, And so with these in particular, we'll take a quick look up here. So with the voices, which are the sort of weird eye that's over on the right, for example, it's possible to get like gifts from them if the voice token comes out. I will say to none of you does this feel like right now it's a violent thing necessarily that's going to happen. I think they're just the ones over on that upper right hand side as far as the eyes itself, those eyes itself goes.
Fortunately, I don't have any silence, so I can't acquire a truth here.
Yeah, should if we're doing an inflection, I don't know if this matters for the rules not breaking down, but is it okay to just have 2 Minotaurs and we just both chuck coins, tokens?
Yeah, so what happens, you have one person sort of take the lead and they get to decide who gets, like, how stuff gets split up.
Okay. Well, Adam, I am feeling very called out and uncomfortable about it, whereas you probably are feeling maybe a bit more hopeful or some other more positive feeling. So, like, which one of us do you think should take lead?
Sounds like you should be leading, because you're the one who has the biggest fears.
Okay. I'll put in, and do we want to do the inflection before I respond?
Yeah, well, or why don't you do the response and the inflection will help determine what the, and then like both of this one thing's where Adam also, if you respond, you can also throw stuff into the, yeah. So
Sure.
So rule wise happens is other Minotaurs who help out can also throw in, and then all those tokens are gone like normal, but whatever comes out can be split up between any of the Minotaurs, and then the person leading it decides who gets the different outcomes.
Can you gain anything from throwing a life token?
Not specifically.
Yeah, it looks like,
Because I think mostly there has to be danger for that to be meaningful.
So I don't know, maybe just like one mind to.
Yeah, I'm gonna put in 2 silence.
okay.
Yeah, so my response, I place the bowl down on the table again, but in my I'm so distracted by what he said that when I put it down, the bowl cracks. I think it's just an earthenware plate, and I look down at it, and then I look back up at the strange man, and say, I fear losing myself. I can already feel it happening out here. Everything I am is defined back there. And if I spend too long here, I may never come back. And I don't know what that means.
So it's over at Adam.
Yeah. And I sort of like set my bowl down gently. And I say, I fear that this place will change nothing. And if we do not return to the Dringo Glad, the waters will never bloom again. And it will be in the future as it has been in the past, as it is now. Just silence.
All right. Do you put any tokens in?
I put it in bind.
A mind?
Yeah.
All right. We have a silence. We have the eye. We've got a no. And a silence. So 2 silence.
That is a very auspicious draw.
Yeah, so 2 silence, a no, and a mind token. Or, I'm sorry, I was looking at the mind tokens, I just pulled those back out. So yeah, that will be, what is that? A truth, and an abiding gift, and a gift token. So who would get the truth, Elias, and who would get the abiding gift and the token?
I would. Adam, how do you feel about getting a gift?
Sure.
I would love to get the truth.
Yeah. Remind me again, real quick, the gist of what you'd said at the when you told him about what you feared.
Losing my identity
Oh.
in the jungle.
He goes,
Because my identity is made up of the other people that I know.
just kind of smiles and goes, "You fear yourself. You fear that you're nothing without the other ones around. Here is something that most don't realize. The city fears for itself as well. The city lives, it breathes, and it's been dying for a very long time. Being made up of others is part of what we all are. Those around you, those you knew, there are those in the jungle. The jungle is not a place where there's nothing. The jungle teems with life. Minotaurs more than humans are a part of it. The city seeks aid. And it is said that if you whisper into the right places, you find some of the idols of the old gods and whisper, help arrives. You want to write that down? That's a truth or a possible truth?
That is a truth.
A truth. Do you want to write it down as a truth?
Mm-hmm.
And then looks over at Adam and goes, you. Your heart is more feared for others than yourself. It's a good thing, but it carries a great burden with it. He goes and he takes, kind of goes to this stuff, and there's a bit of, it almost looks like it used to be like a plant of some sort, a small one. But as he hold it, it just starts to twist in his hands into like this. There's almost like a clawed fist, and then vines kind of snake their way out and sort of around. He goes, "You take a bit of the jungle with you. You discover you're never quite that far from everything. Because you're able to help those who might otherwise not be able to. Now, an abiding gift you can use for other people. It becomes an essential gift. You can use it for yourself. But yeah, it's something that you can. If you use the gift token, those can kind of become kind of a wild card. Essentially,
Yeah.
It can let you sort of push it. It's got its own kind of odd, strange properties.
Cool. All right, I just sort of like take it gingerly and sort of like inspect it essentially, sort of looking at it over.
Nice to have company, but I'm afraid you won't be staying with us like the others did. And Diana. So the little boy can ask you, what do you dream?
Just what I dreamed. And I'm putting in a silence and a name token.
Okay. Elias, you need to choose how to split those two silence tokens. You'll also each gain another silence token for being. Actually, all three of you by the end of this will gain another silence token for being in an inflection.
Sure.
So whenever you're in the jungle in an inflection, you get one.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll both take one and both get one.
So I think like I'm a little taken aback with the question. Like, oh, like I never really, despite being a philosopher, I don't really think about much about my own dreams, and so it takes me a moment because I do dream, and I go something that our kind can never really have: a family.
Why can't you have families?
And I chuckle, looking at the little naive boy who's been isolated this entire time. It's not allowed for our kind.
Kind of sad. It's like, I at least have my father, and I have all these old friends who have stayed with us. You got a silence, a name, a no. So for the I and the I, the leaves just the one no in there. So you gain back your silence and your name, as well as get back another silence. So that gives us. We have anything with one?
Your efforts change the mind of the opposition, I think. That's a no.
Oh yeah, that actually. Oh, that's all three of those. Yeah, you get the gifts. He goes. But does that mean no Minotaur can have families?
Not in the society as it is.
So why do you stay there?
Hope that we can change it.
Kind of looks down, and then you kind of as he looks over to your left, I guess your right, and as you kind of look over, you see that both the other Minotaur and Karis, like vines have kind of come up, like they're almost sort of frozen as these vines are like climbing up their bodies, and it's almost like kind of like piercing in. And the child just sort of looks at him for a moment. He goes, "So you can change the family while you're in the city? You can find it eventually?"
That's what I'm hoping for.
And he just kind of does this, and then they just fall away from both of them, and then you realize the two of them hadn't been breathing.
Oh shit.
When they just, as they both kind of collapse, and like are shaking.
I'm doing everything to stay calm in front of the boy. Oh, this is no big deal.
And the boy just kind of.
I lean down.
Okay. He reaches in and he kind of, in his own hair, which is all kind of matted, he pulls out like it's a little like a beadwork.
Mm-hmm.
And he ties it into yours. And he goes, "This will help you find family. It's helped me."
I give him a small smile and go, "Thank you."
Okay. So let's do this also. Let me get you. Yep, all players. I gave you a gift token. Yeah, you've already got the gift token over there. He goes, "Well, I should be kind of going back." So the two of you back in there, as everything sort of like kind of fades back to normal. The old man sort of smiles. You may see his son pops in, a young kid. He goes, "Oh, I met the others. The story's very sad. They don't have families." Kind of brings up his, "I know they don't, but they might. You and yours can sleep here safe tonight. You will not be harmed or molested by anything. The peace of the forest will not be here tomorrow. It never is. Peace of the jungle. But you wish to move on, I understand, but there are still a few buildings left where you can sleep outside the elements."
You're most kind.
Diana, did you follow him over, or do you stay out in the...
I make sure the other two are okay and let's keep playing along, like I tell them, and then follow behind because we were carrying the wood technically.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, the other two they're staying a little bit back out of it. They do not want to go in there. Yeah, as you head in, you see the two of them sort of seated in front of this table. There's an old man there.
And I think the other two will notice like the look on my face is similar to the look I had like when I first met them, like worried, like and trying to keep it together.
That's a little odd because just from our interaction, I'm feeling a bit better about this whole jungle thing than I was. So, yeah. So, I'll give you a confused look and say, yes, we most certainly will stay the night, and kind of look at everyone else for consensus.
Yeah, I just sort of nod, go back to eating my tubers.
I think what I do is like as like I assume the boy like tells or the father tells where to put the wood because I did carry the wood. Like as I'm putting the wood down, I'm looking at the both of you to make sure, like at your feet actually, to make sure there's like no vines or whatever growing. And I mentioned your friend you might have to convince your friend outside about that. I like look at Eliza's Minotaur like.
Karis have a wrong idea in his mind again. I'll get up and go talk to Karis.
I don't know if I blame him.
Yeah, almost like
Yeah, Karis is kind of wide-eyed as you come out there.
Karis, so is the jungle soured for you already?
Started to feel myself slip into some. The other your friend was talking with that child, and then he and I felt pulled into a lot of voices, a lot of people speaking. I've never.
Did they have a message for you?
No, couldn't quite make out the voices yet, but as something, bodies turned cold, something was climbing up us, and then it just stopped. The more of us being enveloped by it, the stronger the voices became.
I do not like the sound of that.
It was like nothing I've ever encountered.
Well, is this our sign that we are no longer welcome here? Is it time to return?
The jungle? It'll take us some time yet, but we survived. We survived.
Do we spend the night here, or do we press on?
I would prefer to press on, but how much do you trust them?
This place is, it may have gotten to me a bit. I think I am beyond trust.
I have to say, I don't feel. It would not bother me if we were to leave this place.
Cool. Yeah, then no, actually, I think that usually I would give in to something like that, but I am curious enough about this strange man and this experience that we've had that I think that I would push Karis into having us stay for the night.
Okay.
I think inside, like once, like after Eliza's character left, I look towards the old man, and I simply say, "Your son is very sweet. He gave me a very kind gift." Like trying to suss out.
Gave you 2, as far as I can tell. Though you would have been welcome to be part of the family.
And I appreciate that. But I would like to make my own family eventually. If that is in my future.
We hope you find it. It's not an easy path you walk.
I nod and I look at Adam's character and I guess like trying to see how he feels about the situation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just sitting there like eating my tuber. Like, I just sort of like look up and I say, "Are you worried about something, brother?"
I take a beat and I'm like, not anymore. At least maybe not for tonight.
You'll have to tell me more about this family you plan to have someday.
Once we're free of any eyes or ears or leaves.
Of course.
And I think I like partake in like the tubers. Everything's like, yeah, that scare definitely made me hungry.
Okay.
You should put the spices on them. They're much better that way.
Spices always make everything better.
So that night you've got unless anybody's got something they're doing in between, little fire going at the house. Definitely Karis and the other Minotaur pacing, a little bit nervous, trying to remain calm.
I let them take like the first watch because I think we'll still have, because it is the jungle after all.
Mm-hmm. Actually, let's check something here real quick. There's about civic issues. So I'm just looking to see if there are. There are some. Oh, that's almost unfortunate. I was just looking at the Advocate Minotaur. I refreshed your 3 when we see another Minotaur tell a truth or a possible truth, but he got the truth. Though, I mean, actually, granted, that gets told to Diana by Adam.
Yeah, that's a thing.
But that's mind, right? That's
the thing you got. So unless
I'm at max mind anyway.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I was almost just looking for if there was a.
Yeah, my courage one is I refresh to 3 courage when we see me help another Minotaur's efforts to avoid breaking silence, which is turns out not really something we do as much in the jungle, so I'm not worried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And also just looking from an out of character point. Looks like we just probably want to build up some more silence for folks with a couple more encounters, but also if you end up at the end of it with 2 name tokens, you can be given a name, as well as it would then raise up your name number at the end of it. So basically, it's as you come out, if you ideally want to like be able to leave it with the 2 of them, then like at least 2 of them. So, and the next couple ones, if you're interested in, if you're angling for that, going for things that will get you name tokens may not be a terrible thing. The next morning when you wake up, we're sort of done. I don't know who's on last watch.
I'll take last watch.
Okay. Sun's sort of starting to come up. People haven't quite stirred yet. The old man kind of comes and sees him looking in the window, and just like lifts up. He's got like a bag of some of like the food and such that he's made. It's to take with you.
Thank you, my friend.
I wish you luck. You're not unambitious. And then he takes off, and then a little bit later, when you look out, this part of the jungle has changed. The streets are now completely grown over, as if it had been there for maybe hundreds of years. With the overgrowth, there's no longer those places where you see like the individual, what used to be people in the trees. The sounds of the jungle slowly start to fade back in shortly after he leaves. And then the next morning, y'all are on your way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Yeah, I'm gonna wait until we're back in the city to tell everyone of my experiences.
Okay.
I don't want to accidentally anger the spirits in the jungle.
So I'm sorry, spirits.
Yeah. Are we just immediately going back to the city,
Oh,
or?
nope, not quite yet. There's still a couple more
Okay.
in the jungle. As you're heading through and making your way towards what appears to be what you think might be city-wise, you once again make your way to there's a clearing, and the nice thing about that is you at least have a little bit of time where you're not like making your way through dense, like kind of torturous sort of undergrowth. This place here, it's fairly wide. That's a nice moment to sort of catch your breath. While you're there, why don't we start with who should probably notice this? We'll see, Diana. You're the first. You first start to notice while you're sitting there. There are several like snakes that are probably about 5.5, 6 feet long, maybe about that wide. As you kind of see one coming down the tree, like one of the trees sort of nearby, and into like the dense grass, and you see another one coming from a different place over in the clearing.
If it's not trying to cover us, it's trying to eat us, I think. I mutter. And I'll tell everyone there's snakes. There's snakes in the grass.
There's a snake in my boot.
Not to say.
Unpleasant. And I'll just sort of like step forward and like, are they just like blocking our path essentially?
Well, so at this point, it's a little like the undergrowth is a little hard to see exactly, but like as you start to see some of the place where it goes, they've come down some of the trees and they're coming towards you. And you look on the other side, you see there's a couple more that are also coming through and hunting.
Are they hissing or being absolutely quiet?
At this point, quiet.
I look for Karis because I came into the jungle with the goal of making sure that he came back out again, so I might as well stick with that.
Okay. Yeah, Karis is just. This is a time where I wish we had weapons over this.
Are there any rocks or small boulders?
Yeah.
Or even like fallen like branches from.
Yeah, you can probably grab like a fairly large rock that you can hold in your hand. If you hit something with it, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, I immediately go for one of those. Like better than nothing.
Perhaps we don't need weapons to make our way through this. Perhaps there is a way around or a way through. There's not no violence.
Yeah, as you said, I was saying, Diana, the one of them just coming after you.
Uh-huh.
There'll probably be a number of like kind of relatively quick inflections on this one. We gotta get like some at least for each person, depending on what happens. So we've got some stuff in here. Violence is of course a possibility. These do not seem to be reasonable. As it starts moving much faster, like snapping out at you.
Okay. How does the life tokens work? Like, so if I put in a life token and if I lose it.
So
then...
if you lose it, you're fine if you lose it. However, what will happen is if you come to a point later on where you get two or more skull tokens that don't interact with anything first, if you have no life in your supply, then it's death. However, if you get like one silence and no other silence that comes out, that gets treated as a life token, so that can actually replenish it. And I'm trying to think if there's another way those replenish on the character sheet. Or when the Gringo Glade comes for you in the jungle, or the jungle comes for you in the Gringo Glade. So using it can get you some pretty heavy victories, but essentially, like, you're not going to die on the first one. After that, it becomes more dangerous.
Okay, I just wanted to see if that's worth doing right now, but I don't think so.
Oh, and another thing about gifts.
Yeah.
The thing with gifts, when you leave the jungle, you gain 3 gift tokens if you had none and you had a gift lost, destroyed, or expire recently. So if you end up using a gift in the jungle when you leave and it doesn't come back to you, you actually will get multiple gift tokens on the way when you leave the jungle.
Okay, but right now we only have gift tokens that we can give only to other people.
That you can help with other people, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna put in my 2 courage.
Okay. Anybody else want to help in that inflection?
Is this affecting all of us?
Well,
No,
the thing is,
this one's just-
it can. It's coming at her, but you're able to.
And you froze, Michael.
Oh, am I back?
Oh, there you go.
Okay. Stupid connection. Yeah, so it's coming after her, but if someone helps, you're able to throw. You are able to throw some other stuff in, or just leave it as it is.
I'm totally fine, like, doing this on my own.
Yeah, I think I just muddy the waters if I put things in. So
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this will be easy because there's only going to be 4 to pull out.
oh well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, there's 5. So, in this case, we've got a courage, a skull, and a skull. So 3 skulls and a courage.
Maybe we should have helped.
I didn't expect that many skulls.
It looks like maybe the death or lose a life token option.
Yeah, so it'll be.
I don't think you lose a life token.
Yeah, that's
It's just the. Sorry.
Yeah, otherwise, your caution, fear, and ability or self-doubt brings an unfavorable
Okay, the
outcome.
life token just protects you.
Yeah. But will also mean you get 1 that treats as a name token if you've been impressive or in a dangerous or contentious inflection recently. I mean, a couple of these specifically say impressive, but you did get you changed the mind and got the gift from the other one, which does seem a little impressive to me.
Technically saved 2 Minotaurs.
Yeah. So I would say go ahead and take a name token for that.
Okay.
You'll get 1 of the courage back. Yeah, so as it kind of strikes up, it goes and tries to bite at you. What do you do?
I tried to swing at its very small head with the rock.
Mm-hmm.
To try to, like, make it go unconscious, hopefully.
Okay. So as you
Or break its skull.
Yeah, as you swing at it, it bites a few more. And as you take a step backwards, you feel the ground shift a little bit underneath you. And it's kind of moving you towards the center of the clearing. And as you kind of hit, the whole thing just kind of moves some. And you feel yourself fall. You fall into what's kind of close to the center. And then it's like the ground around you starts to move.
Oh, shit.
Maybe as if you were on a large snake that was just underneath the surface. As it's opening up an area that you're about to fall through. I also take a silence back for being in the inflection. You get another one of those. Adam and Elias. Or Adam or Elias, what do you do? The other ones are coming in as well.
Yeah, so there's snakes directly attacking us, right? Because there's also this very, is it a larger snake that's underneath Diana?
You get a kind of quick look, like it's almost like a good portion of the clearing as it's starting to move. You see that the grasses and such that are on it, they're on top of like this large snake body that is sort of holding up that part of the clearing.
Yeah, so I'll say Karis and kind of get Karis's attention to point out the giant snake, and I think the 2 of us are going to move in that direction. And as we move forward, one of the snakes is just right there blocking your path. Yeah.
And what do you do?
One of the things that I admired in Karis before he kind of took this dark turn was that he's always been an impressive fighter. So the character wants to see is the two of them get to fight together again, because it's kind of that's kind of he gave up kind of part of his like fighting spirit kind of to when he lost his job. So the two of us, Karis goes for the snake, and I'll pin it down while he grabs like a big tree branch or something to crush it.
He grabs it. He just kind of catches it by the teeth as it's going, and you're on it trying to hold it down. What do you want to put in?
I want to put in. I'll put in 2 mind. And is there a reason to put in my life token?
You can get, with the life token, you can get, as long as there's 1 player token left in the crater, if you get 2 skulls and a life token, you act with physical confidence or skill, you get a name token from that.
Yeah.
Can also be...
Yeah.
One of your binding gifts becomes essential if you put a gift in as well. You're reckless. Or no, yeah, you can also be reckless.
Yeah. Let's go with the two mind.
Okay. Skull.
Okay.
Mind. Skull. So 2 skull, 2 mind.
So your cleverness brings an outcome in your favor and get a name, and then the last skull, I think, drops down to treat as a name if you've been impressive in dangerous or contentious inflection. Otherwise, you sustain a grievous permanent injury. I'm okay with the injury. I don't know if I've been impressive recently.
I think you did well on the dangerous, because like things could have gone very badly. It was a different sort of danger, because when you're with the green voice is sort of like a suicidal voice. It's a much different thing. So there was danger there, but you pulled out. Yeah, we can go with that. Get another name token on there. Yeah. So as you're holding it down, it's just. And also, this actually could give you a moment for something, because I know, Adam, you were looking for a way to do this maybe without having to fight these things?
Yeah.
Okay, as they're, like, beating they're killing this one, and at one point, Karis just is like, brother, take the other, take the side of the head, and she's kind of, like, got the head up here while the body is bucking. And he's got a good grip on the lower jaw, and he's like, grab its upper jaw.
He's asking this of me.
Listen to Elias. And
I'm sorry. I was messing with tokens. I thought this was Adam. Not
Oh,
me.
sorry. Yeah, this will be what gives Adam to see something.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm grabbing the bottom jaw of the snake?
Or the top of it, because he's got the bottom.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I have 2 hands, and I'm holding the snake's jaws open.
Yeah, and because he's got the bottom, it's like pull, and just starts pulling as hard as he can on the bottom jaw.
Oh man!
While you pull on the.
Yeah.
And as that happens, Adam, you see this head that's about yay big just rise up. As it starts to uncoil, Diana falls through, and this. And the other smaller snakes, some of them like almost wrap themselves around like their coils. You see that underneath it there is like a rapidly rushing river's too big, stream makes it always seem slower. But there's a water that's sort of rapidly rushing, going down and away, and you can see like there's almost a weirdish bluish light coming from down there. And the place where you're standing is getting a lot less stable. So what do you do?
The bluish light's like underneath this gigantic snake, right?
Yeah, like because it's essentially it's over. It was over like a kind of a cavern. Like it kind of had become the roof of the cavern, which Diana's falling into right now, and like where all of you're standing, it's becoming much harder to stand there. But you do see that as you see other snakes and such down there as well. Probably it's a brood.
Yeah. Is the implication that this thing might like fall into the rivulet of the river?
It actually looks like it was. I mean, the river itself. If it fell into it, it's too big to really fall into it. But this looks like it's essentially a place where it would trap and eat.
Okay. And Diana's falling into it.
Yeah, but the river might be a way to escape. There might be other ways to do it as well, but
sure. So I think what I'll do. This is really like cool like hunting technique that certain like tribes have used, where it's basically like confidence hunting, right? Like these people who in like Africa that'll just like walk up to lions with like swagger right after the lions have like killed a gazelle or something, and they'll just walk up like they own the place and just like take meat from it. And if you have just sort of like the right ego about it, they'll be like, wait, what the fuck? Why is this guy not scared? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to walk right up to this snake like I own the place. Like I'm the predator and it is the prey. And it's scared of me.
What are you doing? Huh? What? Don't! I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm going to throw 3 mind.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if I should throw anything else.
I'm gonna throw in my abiding gift.
All right.
Okay.
So 3 mind and a gift.
Okay. And how do you help with that? Remember, the gift itself can have kind of some weirdish abilities or powers. But you can decide what do you do.
Scrabble to like get some purchase and not to fall in. I think maybe just like trying to distract the big snake by yelling at it, so that way it's confused.
Yeah. Listen to him.
Yeah.
Okay, skull, mind, gift, and skull.
And skull. Okay.
So 1 gift, so that can become a wild card essentially.
1 gift, a mind, and 2 skulls. So I will turn the gift into a mind, which will then trigger your cleverness brings an outcome in your favor, gain a
name token.
Gain a name. And then the last skull token will go down to the second to last option, I think.
Yep. So yeah, you gain 2. Yeah. Yeah. So you get 2 name tokens from that. Yeah, it's just kind of weird, amazing things. And you can also kind of catch it as you yell, but they describe like you just go straight up to it, or what do you do when?
Yeah, I mean, I basically just like walk up to this thing, just like stare it down, then reach down, grab Diana's hand, like grab his arm, and just like stare at the stake one last time, and jump into the river essentially.
Yeah, there's one where it kind of backs up. It's like, well, you said you grabbed Diana and jumped in the river.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Elias, do you also go after?
Yeah. So Karis and I are, I think, covered in snake blood and guts now from tearing a snake in half.
As you do.
And yeah, we'll follow and dive into the water after them.
Okay. There's just this moment where it just kind of goes up as you then dive in, and like as you hear Karis's laughter, as you rush through. That'll work. And just as you hit the water, it's cold. And sort of takes you down into like a series of caverns as you go through and you bring your way in, there's this sort of like bluish lichen on the wall that glows like a bioluminescence. There's mushrooms that you're able to eat. To a point where you're sitting there and like you've gotten out of the water and Karis, there was the snakes had gone almost like paused because the mother had been so freaked out, and Karis just is laughing. You yelled at it.
What else was I supposed to do?
And Adam,
It's very simple.
I also thank Adam's like, thank you, like, for getting me out of what could have been a worse situation.
We worked together on it. It was a team effort. So, shall we find our way out then?
I suppose. And
So are we are in an underground cavern now?
Yep.
Seems like it, yeah.
Oh, you're muted, Michael.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yeah, you're in the underground underground cavern.
Mm-hmm.
As you're heading through, and then it's trying to look for a few things come out. When you finally sort of come out, you're on like the side of kind of a very large hill overlooking the outskirts of the city.
Mm.
And he sits there for a moment and goes, "It's like we've returned home."
Indeed.
He just kind of laughs. He goes, "The great weight's been taken off my shoulder, brother."
Despite everything that man said, I did miss this place. And I also missed you, Karis. Happy to see you back.
And not you. Oh, so one thing from earlier. Adam, did you keep the gift token or give it back to Diana?
I gave it back.
Oh, I give you a hint. If you keep it, you have 2. Diana will get 3 as she leaves the jungle. as you leave the jungle.
What
All right.
Yeah. Or it's one of those things. Like if you have lost a gift when you leave the jungle, if you have no gift tokens, but you've had a gift lost, destroyed, or expire, you gain 3.
So what is the relationship between a gift and a gift token in this case?
The gift basically represents the tokens represent the use of the gift or the gift itself.
All right.
Okay.
I'll give Diana a commiseration mind then.
Yeah, it's like I lost the thing, but then you'll find more on the way out. So,
Did we get a silence from that as well?
yeah. So everyone will gain a silence from those. Now everyone here has courage and mind tokens, correct?
I am lacking mind tokens now.
You get 1 mind token.
I have 1 courage token, so I think that I just stay at 1, right?
Yeah. So basically, if you have 0, you get a courage and or mind back. You can. There's ways to get those back when you're in there. And at this point, because before we return back, this goes to Adam's Minotaur. You've earned a name. Like, all of you have 2 name tokens, correct?
I have many.
Yeah, at least 2.
Yeah.
He goes, "I don't know a word for beast screamer, but I know an ancient god whose name I think you may have earned. Kiernanos, the screamer of snakes."
Can you spell that?
Kiernanos is
Maybe like type it
CERNUNNOS.
Totally not how I was spelling it.
out. Can you type that out?
Yeah, let me copy that.
I was thinking Greek spelling.
Yeah, this is the Celtic. Because I was kind of looking for, it's like, okay, I want a name that sounds kind of weird. Like this, did I? Oh, no, I did not. Okay. So, Kiernanos. But it's also fun if it actually means something. with what went ahead. And if someone has an idea for, I'm looking for some things for. Oh, this will work. Okay. And then to Diana's. You spoke to whatever that thing was and shared your dreams. Jarilo. Jarilo. Slavic god of vegetation, fertility, spring, war, and harvest.
I bow to him and thanks.
And then to Elias. No. Oh, that'll work. You brought me back myself, my peace. You shared your fears with the Green Man. Happiest. Well, do you want Asclepius or Happiest?
Happiest is good.
Happiest. A hero and god of medicine in ancient Greek.
Yeah.
He kind of looks out at the city and goes, I'll miss the time here for a while, but it'll be good to be back. Would that seem like a good place to end for tonight?
Sure.
Yeah. We ended up being all jungle all the time, which I guess is what we asked for, so sounds good.
I was like, oh, get in the jungle, let's see, because it's because that thing where you start to learn, oh, I can specifically just get rid of some of these tokens by throwing them in, knowing they won't come back. So with using the silence.
Yeah, but now we can also do things with name, which is a thing. So.
Yeah, everyone's name. Everyone gets. I believe everyone adds 1 to
their name.
Yay! I'm back up to 1.
Yep. Yeah, if you accept your name, you increase your name number by 1. Though everyone's employment circumstances will change, though you can forfeit all of your name tokens if you want to stay with the same employer.
Nah.
I'm interested in confronting my employer at some point, but I don't have to. I think maybe I'm totally okay just walking out on them.
I think probably for next session that'll be a conversation. Well, technically, I'm changing my position if I accept her proposal, but yeah.
Yeah, that could be the thing.
So it'll probably be, like I said, unless you want to give up the name tokens, it'll be a different. It's one of those things. I think revisiting them and actually finding out, because while you're gone, the world progresses. So part of the thing is, if you're actually gone, sometimes for some time, it's a little hard to tell while you're in the jungle at times. So when you come back, things have happened while you were gone.
Oh, okay.
So that could be an interesting thing to touch back on and see what's happened with some of those.
Sure. I don't think I'm going to try and keep Minir. I don't particularly care about him.
Mm-hmm.
Just some schmuck. Cool.
Yeah. Just some charlatan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like the drama then of her having chosen someone else while I was gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll make a note of that for the wishes stuff. Having chosen someone else. Cool. Other things people, I don't know if you want to do stars, witches, roses, thorns, any of those kind of things. Things you'd like to see, things that worked for you, didn't work.
Yeah. Crater table, much easier to read now. That's nice.
I might try to make it a little bit bigger just to make it a little bit easier to see, because I mess with that on like the next day.
Yeah.
I think we're getting used to it though, so I think it's okay. But
yeah, other than that, I would like a chance for my leftist Minotaur to burn shit down.
heck yeah. And yeah, I feel like I'm working on settling my ideology. I think it's fine for it to be muddled since I'm kind of like fearful of change, but so I think I'm going to work on not being a roadblock for you, if nothing else. So, NPC nameless Minotaur scene.
Oh, yes, correct. Yeah, thank you.
I was reminded by leftist Minotaurs considering our last.
Oh yeah,
scene.
forgot about that. So where are these Minotaurs and what are they doing? You have people gathered together? Are they traveling from one area to the other with goods? Are they on watch? Are they
It's the same
drinking?
food this time, correct?
It can be any. It can be any. You can basically. It's just supposed to be 3 nameless Minotaurs somewhere in the city, talking kind of about one of the things it kind of wants to do is look at the impact of what has happened during that session.
Okay.
Like, so you can explore a number of things. It could be even stuff that like they hear about from the jungle. It can be what happened with the people that you left behind as far as employers and stuff go.
Are there generally for the Imperii? Is there like an election, even if it is like a rigged election, or is it?
No, it's just they're the ones with power. They do not give it up. Democracy is not really a thing here. It's just who has the power and who does not.
So maybe it's like the eve of before, whether or not it's my mistress or not, before it gets named who's going to be the next Imperii, and it's like maybe her and maybe one other contender, and people are like talking about like, because assuming at least a few days, if not more, have gone by since we were missing, I think.
Okay. Maybe drinking together, or just like gathered somewhere to speak.
We started with the theater scene, right?
Yeah.
What if it's 3 Minotaurs kind of loitering at the back of a theater? And so there's kind of the show's happening behind us, but we're not really paying attention to it. We're kind of socializing.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Having a smoke or something.
Yeah. There's like open doors behind us, and there's this kind of building, sloped building where the theater is,
You've got the production going, talking about.
What was the name of Adam's friend? Who's Portia? No, that was from last session.
Yeah.
The playwright.
I don't remember.
Wasama.
Yeah, Rasma.
Well, I guess I can't say that name because it's the name of a woman, but
The playwright could probably work.
Yeah.
The lady playwright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That lady playwright is getting quite bold. Seems like she has some wild ideas about how the Imperii change of power will go tomorrow.
Wild ideas, but dull talent. Have you seen that Minotaur that they have playing the speech together?
Yes. I didn't think there'd be anybody worse than another Minotaur playing a Minotaur.
Need some talent on this. Some new
Are
voices.
you going to step on stage? You could take over their place right now.
I'd love to see that.
Well, I have been told I have a beautiful singing voice. I think I can do the choruses quite well.
Who have you paid to tell you that?
Well played.
But you are correct, brother. She's become bold. It helps that she can use that Minotaur to say whatever she wants.
Indeed. Lots of things getting said around town. Did you see the stampede?
Luckily, I was far enough away for it not to affect me.
I felt the
I
call.
saw it from a distance.
I felt the call to me, but I managed to fight it off.
Ah,
Curious-
big words.
Hey. I have certain abilities. I keep myself together. Remember that one time? The last stampede? It's right in the middle of that. I didn't get caught up in it at all, except a little bit.
At least no one was hurt this time. Some property damage, but that's
But
Well, that
large-
leaves us as the skeleton guard until our brothers return.
yeah.
But it was a large group. They're getting larger as time goes on. Perhaps one of these days there will be a stampede so large that it actually threatens those who would lash against us. They won't stampede into the jungle this time.
You're sounding like the speaker,
I
or at least
told
this
you.
woman's interpretation of the speaker.
I told you. I'm perfect for the job.
I'm surprised that speaker hasn't been with their mistress. She's been campaigning so hard.
Strange. But the mistress is just like all of the rest of them, isn't she?
Take a long puff of smoke.
Perhaps the speaker has a rude awakening ahead for him. Perhaps he'll learn something. Perhaps he'll learn that perhaps he should not defer to a mistress in order to receive the power and influence owed him.
Perhaps I'll learn not to shirk his job since he won't be around tomorrow.
That too. If she loses, I cannot imagine her living for much longer.
Humans.
Oh, they're a dime a dozen, aren't they? It'll be fine. A new one will replace, and it'll be just as bad as the old ones.
While you're saying that, on the stage behind us, the Portia, who I believe was the woman who was exiled, is being very dramatically stabbed with a sword and is like dramatically like dying on stage, and there's a lot of like blood and special effects.
They need to get better humans to act too, I think. My ear twitches like at that annoying scream, high-pitched screaming that's happening.
Yeah. I think that can be seen.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Cool. Yeah, I think it feels like this is a game that gets to the point where the Minotaurs become more driving. They might get to a point where they start to drive change a bit more. Especially because like, as your name number goes up, you get into higher and higher positions. Because what are your name numbers now?
1.
I'm back at 1. I would have been 2, but 1.
I'm at 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you go from like a little more menial to like dealing with people with more power, like in positions of more trust, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like these little like epilogue scenes.
Yeah, what I wonder about this game is what will happen with if we're doing a whole 5-session run, then I'm curious what will happen the next 3, because I feel like there was a ramp up between that first one and the second one. Now that we have name tokens, we can use those.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like having names and gift tokens can be used to get more name and gift tokens, perhaps, maybe. So we'll see.
Yeah, it just seems like a fascinating kind of. The game unfolds in a way I don't think I've ever seen one unfold before. Because it's like as you start to figure out how stuff works and how the like token stuff starts to change things, it's a really interesting type of game.
Yeah, it's a very different feel.
Next time, let's blow something up.
Sweet. Oh, there also is there's a small. How many of you know Lloyd? Lloyd Gans?
No.
Okay. He works for Modifius. He's done some stuff with. He's done stuff in the Gauntlet. There's a chance he may be here on that last time because he's coming. He's flying into here, and then we're going to Gen Con.
Nice.
I don't remember what day he's coming in though. So yeah, so he might be here with a with a thing behind us. He's a lot of fun.
I want to do Gen Con. I just don't have. I can afford to fly there, and I know people who at Gen Con that I can either volunteer or work for. It's the hotel that's the problem. That's hella expensive generally.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who performs down there, and he basically told him last time. He goes, "Okay, listen. Here's my stipulation. I don't want to be in a room with strangers, and I want to bring a GM of mine, like a friend of mine to GM." So last year I GM'd like 6, because I would have had to technically do 10, because I'm not like I don't run games that have like 8 players. Because it's just like the type of games I do. But so they only made me run 6 instead of the 10 I would have had to do for Hotel and Badge. This year I was going to run some improv workshops, but there's like a ton of people put in for those. So I don't have those ones. Mikey forgot to send the other ones I was going to put in place. So right now I'm only running like 3 games on the books because he goes, we can kind of just run games with people we know and have some fun and like some chill stuff. I'm like, that sounds cool. And if they happen to remember I was supposed to run other ones, because he gets like 200 people at his shows, and he does like 3 of them, and they're 2-hour shows. So he's got like 600 person hours. So that more than makes up anything for me.
Yeah, I know Wizards was looking for people and to do where they provided you with a hotel. It was like 30 hours. If I read the description right, it was like because you had to do like 8 plus sessions, and each sessions were like 4 hours. And I'm like, that's a job in 3 days. I don't even get to enjoy Gen Con like as a first time. Like, nah. Just to have the privilege of getting a hotel, like that seemed a little much without being paid on top of it.
Yeah.
But,
so I got lucky on that. Otherwise, I would not be going.
Well, my computer's about to die,
Okay.
so I'm gonna split. But
cool. Thank you all very much.
Next time, I'm gonna think about this more.
Yeah.
See you next week.
I'll catch y'all
Take
later.
care. Bye.
Bye.